Hello, I'm Louise. Welcome to today's client story. So I'm excited to be joined by Emily of Autumn Blossoms, and we'll be sharing the behind the scenes of working together on pitching to the press. So as a spoiler alert, Emily was successful in landing press coverage, and we'll share a little bit more about that later in that success story. So I really love Emily's focus on reconnecting with the plants on our doorstep and reconnecting emotionally to plants. It's opened my eyes that there are so many overlooked native plants, so things like gorse and nettles that have healing qualities. So we're talking a little bit more about that today and about Emily's experience of landing press coverage and what's really involved in that. So thank you for joining me, Emily.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It's lovely to be here. Yeah, pleasure as always.
Of course. And for anyone who doesn't know you, can you tell us a little bit about Autumn Blossoms?
Sure, yeah. So I feel like I've got two strands really to my business, but they are connected. So I've got my aromatherapy distilling side, which is where I have got an aromatherapy business where people can come to me for aromatherapy prescriptions. If they've got some ailments, I've also got lots of products that I make myself. That anybody can buy, and you'll see me at Lancaster markets and in various other places, selling those. And then I've got my shamanic healing part of my business as well, where I've got one-to-one clients that I take with shamanic healing. And I also do lots of group work. And recently I've started doing some shamanic drum journeys, some dance with my partner, and he does sound baths as well. So but I see them as separate, but I see them as connected because it was really the shamanic healing aspect that got me really speaking to
Yeah.
the plants. When I did my shamanic healing, I trained with a lady called Shamanic Willow,
Mm,
um, first of all, and she was really into trees, and I was like, I really need to
yeah.
connect with this woman. Um, and she taught me how to. It was kind of already happening, but then she really
Mm,
taught me that, and yeah, I just feel like they're so yeah.
yeah.
That's my business. Yeah.
Amazing. And I think that connection to plants is really at the heart of both aspects
Mm,
of the business, isn't it? And from my experience as a customer on both of those as well, I think that really comes across as well, that kind of transformational power of listening to the plants and how we can get back to ourselves from that really comes across.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of my clients, um, they find that they've already doing this stuff, and
yeah,
then when they talk to me, I'm kind of like, yeah, it's already happening, and then we can deepen that. So yeah, it's
yeah,
so natural.
yeah. It's like a return, isn't it?
Yeah, really, yeah, really so. Mm.
Yeah. Amazing. So we worked together on crafting pictures to help you land press coverage. Can you take us back to the beginning of that journey? What prompted you to reach out? What were you looking to achieve at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I've become really aware how important it is to meet the right people. Um, and I'm in where I am in my life now, my business, and what my shamanic healing has really taught me is that some communication is about words, but it's so much more than that. And if I could have approached any other copywriter, but when I met you, um, Louise, I just kind of knew that you got it. And I just think that that's the way energetically that it's got to work.
Yeah,
And it came, so I wasn't kind of translating myself to you. I was kind of like just being me, expressing my message, who I was and what I was doing. And then what you came back with was like, oh, okay, yeah. So I actually deepened my understanding of my message through the conversations that we had.
yeah,
And that's how I knew that it was correct to go ahead with you. And I feel like it's it's copywriting is so much more than words. Um, you had a real desire to communicate my message. You got it, um, and it just made me excited. I thought, do you know what? I can actually get this out into the world, and I became excited about it. Whereas I know that previously I've had a lot of resistance because I'm kind of like, oh, do you know what? I don't want to be the weirdo out here. I don't want to be kind of like putting things out and then being rejected and not understood. Um, so it really helped me sort of like come. So I knew that I had to come through this barrier of me thinking that people wouldn't understand me, and I also knew that I had to, do you know what I mean, to do something about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just really aligned in a perfect way.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. That's so lovely to hear. And I think it is that's what you say, it's alignment, isn't it? That when you get your ideal client, you think you feel really excited about the idea. And when you first told me about what it was that you're looking to get across, I did feel that real, I suppose it's an excitement in your body that you feel like actually this is something that really deserves to get out there, and it's about getting it framed in the right way so that people can hear about this and people can benefit from it. So I felt really excited after all of our chats. I was always had lots of ideas and stopped talking about it. So so
Yeah,
that's
no, it's
amazing.
amazing as well. And I think that the other thing that happened when we were talking was that I reframed my way of thinking about myself, kind of like, actually, do you
Mm,
know what? This is relevant to everybody. Because we had a lot of conversations. I remember you asking me, oh, who's your ideal client? Who do you want to reach? And
yeah.
in the end, I was like, everybody.
Yeah.
Like from being kind of like, oh, I've got this weird stuff over here, to kind of like, no,
Yeah.
this is like really vital information for everybody. And that was such a relief to kind of hear myself say
Mm,
that, and like myself like, oh wow, yeah, this is important. And so yeah, I think just bringing in somebody else to your business, and I know we were talking about like messaging and things like that, which is key. But I think that when you're in a position where you have to explain your core values and your key
mm,
messages to people, it puts you in such a transformational space, because actually you have to really clarify that to yourself. And I had to have a few conversations with myself about, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And that really revitalized my sense of purpose, which was just,
yeah.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's lovely to hear. And it's so often the way when you do take that time to go deep in, it is really hard when you're busy in your business to actually take that time to get back to why you're doing it and your story. It's not only helps you communicate to other people, but it helps you in the way you think about it yourself. And I think what you were saying there as well about that kind of framing and connection, I think that's something that's a kind of common myth about pitching is people think it's about selling themselves. And I think that's what often is uncomfortable about it and probably sometimes unsuccessful about it, is actually it's really for any kind of pitching, it's about flipping that perspective and thinking about your audience and how you can help them. And I think that is where you start to get transformational and something that can help both you and the editor
Yeah.
as well at a publication. So it's really about putting yourself in their shoes and presenting your story in a way that connects with their audience. So I think it is all about alignment and connection, and that's a much more empowering way to think about this than thinking this is something that I want to pitch for a kind of dream publication that's kind of behind somewhere that I don't really understand, and it becomes an unequal um power balance on that. But actually, if it's something a kind of mutual exchange, that becomes a
Yeah.
different thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really, it felt really important to share the message, and I've just had such positive feedback from people that have read it. In fact, my partner's mum,
Yeah,
um, well, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna read about it," and it was so funny, because I was like, "Well, I could have sat down and had a cup of tea with you and talked about it," but but it was so much like, she really loved the fact that I was in a magazine and she
yeah,
could read it, and then she kind of got it in a way that she hadn't before, and it was just
yeah,
really lovely, kind of like hear people see you in a different way and help me to see myself in a different way.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been really lovely.
It's that relevance, isn't it? It's finding that relevance about that point of connection between you and that person. Sometimes it just gets into um the heart of that. Just
Yeah.
on the process as well, can you take us behind the scenes of what happened and what your experience was like off pitching? Um,
we had conversations around my messaging, who I wanted to connect with, and things like that, and why I wanted to reach out to a wider audience. Um, and really, that was about me knowing that the aromatherapy business is changing, and I'd made lots of connections worldwide with people who are looking at it from a kind of a localism perspective
Yeah.
of really connecting with the local environment. And so Lancashire Life made sense because you know, um, it was kind of really celebrating what is grown in Lancashire, which is beautiful. Um, and so having those conversations really prompted me to kind of like, oh, conversations I can have with people about that. Then you sent me, so yeah, the questions that you asked were just incredible. Um, Not only to bring about copy, but also to bring about clarity, you know. And I think what happened then was kind of I was coming off the call with you, and then I was like, oh, I can write a social media post, I can add this to my website. And you encouraged me to have a press page on my website, and at first I was like, that's ridiculous, but now I think, no, that's a really good idea. um and so yeah, so I took lots of notes through the processes, and then what you created in the end for me was a list of pictures. So it was me who was doing the approaching, and I had this template that I was using. And yeah, and I can use that template with other people as well, forevermore. So it was kind of like, when what taking you behind the scenes of what happened, it's like you took me behind the scenes of your work,
Yeah.
um in a way, so that I then thought, okay, I can
Yeah.
do this. Understand I understand this, and this is really possible. And it got me thinking about other publications I could
Mhm.
approach as well. So I just sent off the emails, as you suggested, using the contacts that you gave me, using the templates, and I've had some really lovely responses, and I've come up with other people to connect with as well since then. So
Oh, it's
I'm really
amazing. So it's the tip of the iceberg for you. It sounds like there'll be more to add to that press
absolutely.
page for you.
Mm,
So shall
amazing.
we share with people the Lancashire Life that you're in? You can see here. So this is and you're on here on the front page here as the plant whisperer. And you've got a 4-page article as well on you. So
Like, I expect that at all.
so how did that feel? What was the impact of that for you?
Yeah, so I rushed over to booths when I knew it was out, and of course I told the man behind the desk, behind the cashier,
Yeah.
that I was in it. Had a little conversation with him about it. I saw my friend. It was just really, it's lovely to be celebrated and celebrate that. And because I know that I'm very emotionally connected with my brand,
Yeah.
because it's me. So I know that I've been in conversations in the past, and I kind of made pictures with people. I had conversations with people about my products, which I'm kind of like, I'm so emotionally invested. I can't even have this conversation. When I brought you in, it was like it was taking that away, and then
Yeah.
kind of, so these vehicles, having this kind of space to actually um get my messaging out in a
Mhm.
way which was more professional, much less kind of emotionally based on outcome, and had that clarity of like, who am I talking to, why am I talking to them, all the rest of it. So yeah, and then reading it back and seeing it, it's kind of like, oh, that is the process we went through, and what a celebration. It's, yeah,
Yeah, it's
really, really.
a really great article, isn't it? And I, like you've had experience. So I guess the good bit about a magazine like that as well is that it is word of mouth as well. So my partner went to our local hairdresser and it was on the side. It's like, oh, I know the person that's in here. It's someone that Louise knows. So it does spur more of that kind of word of mouth thing as well. And it is the kind of one as well that people sometimes find on holidays or things like that in holiday homes as well. So it's nice to
Yeah,
know that
and
it'll live on in so many different ways. So it's a really exciting one. Well done for
I know, and
continuing.
business as well is I've sold so much more product. I've had much more
Um,
traffic to my website.
yeah,
loads more messages. So it's just kind of like everything's just taken off in a really beautiful way. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
pleased.
It's connecting what you do with that audience on a bigger scale. So that's really brilliant to
And
hear.
I'm so grateful. And I would really recommend, anybody who has this messaging, that if you know that you've got a message for the world or you've got something that you want to share and people need to hear you, whatever you do, um, it's really, I just think it's such a lovely process working with a copywriter. And I think what your gift, Louise, with this is that you just ask such beautiful questions and you really hear, you really hear what people say. You're such a good listener. Um, and the way that you then formulate things and can sort of use your wide um, knowledge base and context and kind of like see. And it was almost like you were kind of going, you were really encouraging me to kind of like, the world needs to hear this, Emily, do it, And I was like, yeah, I need that. That was just, and I know that I wouldn't have got that from anyone else. Really,
Oh, that
yeah, it was really lovely. It
yeah,
was, yeah, it's totally what I needed.
yeah. Oh, well, thank you. That means such a lot to hear that from you. And I think that's got to be one of the favorite parts of my job, to be able to really get to know other people's businesses is always such a privilege, and especially when it's an ideal client like you. So amazing. Okay, so I think we'll wrap this up now. So would you be able to tell us a little bit more about how people can find out more about Autumn Blossoms? Where can they find things?
Sure. So I have my website is I can post this at the bottom of this
Yeah,
video.
yeah,
And my website is my shop where
yeah.
you can buy aromatherapy products. I distill my own hydrosols. You can buy a range of those. You'll see gorse, willow, nettle on there. They're all beautiful products to connect with. And I've also got some sound baths and shamanic healings on there as well. So, or if you just want to send me a message and say that seems really interesting, I offer people a free half hour to connect with me. So yeah, have a look there, and I'd love to connect to anyone who's interested in that. Yeah, I really
Amazing.
would.
And I'd wholeheartedly recommend both the shamanic healing and natural hydrosol from my personal
Ah,
use as well. So amazing. Oh well, thank you, Emily, for your time today. It's been really good to chat with you and to celebrate what we've done um
yeah,
with this. So yeah, I'm excited to see what's next.
yeah, me too.
For you. So,
Thank you so much, Louise.
thank you.
Okay, yeah,
See
thank
you.
you. Bye now. Bye bye.
Bye.